This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
I heard you've been looking for me, but you look for trouble. You're gonna see that your words are dangerous. Your talk is cheap. So now I'm standing here. You tell yourself you know what to do when you realize that I am coming for you. Then you'll change your mind and run like a child when you see me standing here. Now I'm standing here. Don't question my heart. Don't question the fire that burns inside.
Place to Be Nation, welcome back to another episode of Extreme Resurrection. I'm your host, James Gruenberg, and alongside with me is Steve Riddle. Steve, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Glad to be back for another episode here as we are on the road, to, in essence, to the final stops for ECW, at least in terms of on the road to WrestleMania 24.
Yeah, we're on the home stretch these last couple of weeks, but now we're here and we're not sandwiched this time between the pay-per-view. It's two full shows and then WrestleMania 24. It's been building up to WrestleMania 24, mostly on the Floyd Mayweather Big Show match, because Floyd Mayweather was like very popular, and this was like the talk of the town here, Steve.
Oh, yeah, that was like all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's taken a lot of like not airtime, but like you had a lot of hype on like all three of the shows here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like I feel like for ECW's sake, like it has it's taken a little turn, because if you recall at WrestleMania 23, we had this big tag team matchup where it was the I forget the New Breed versus like the ECW Legends, or whatever they called them. I forget what they called them, but it was the New Breed. And now here we're doing this the ECW Originals. That's what it was. The Originals versus the New Breed. Now here we're doing this Battle Royal, and then that winner gets a shot at Chavo Guerrero's ECW title at WrestleMania 24 following the Battle Royal, Steve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's kind of funny. We're now a year removed from 23, and it's like, and things feel so much different from where we were in 2007.
Yeah. So let's get into these. Let's get into our first episode here tonight. This is ECW March 18th, 2008. We're live in Biloxi, Mississippi. And we start off with a match right off the ball here. It is Kane versus Elijah Burke. Uppercut by Kane. Burke dodges a big boot. Burke goes into the barricade. Backbreaker by Kane. Uppercut and drop kick to Burke. Kane catches Elijah Burke and gives him a chokeslam for the win. For this matchup, I went 1.5 stars. Pure dominance by Kane, and Elijah Burke at this point has fallen off the wagon.
Yeah, just to back my point up earlier, what I said, how things feel different. Remember, in going into Mania the previous year, Elijah Burke seemed like the next big star. Now here he is, jobbing out to Kane, very quickly. I gave it 3/4 star. It was pretty much just squash city here. I mean, Burke got a few punches in, but Kane pretty much destroyed him. I mean, it's again, we've been kind of talking these last few episodes what's going on with Burke, and here he is, in 3.5 minutes jobbing clean to Kane, and it's not looking good for him.
No, it's not. And I feel like they could have put somebody else into this spot here. I feel like you could have had like James Curtis in this spot, and he'll be on our show as well here.
Yeah.
So now we go backstage, and Armando Estrada is shaking hands with Mark Henry when Chavo Guerrero comes in. Armando says that all the big men, including Mark Henry, will be in the Battle Royal. And Chavo's like, "What? What do you mean?" He goes, Chavo, listen, it's going to be spectacular. And who knows, maybe he'll retain the ECW title. And then Colin Delaney comes in. Colin asks Estrada for a contract, and then Chavo says, "You interrupted me, blah blah blah." And like, why don't we have a match? So if Colin Delaney somehow beats Chavo Guerrero, he gets a contract.
Yeah, so the saga for Colin continues. Interesting note is when Armando's telling him Chavo about the big men, he does include Big Daddy V. So that confirms that V was supposed to be in the Battle Royal, but as we all know, we don't see him in it. So so again, kind of interesting what happened, why V's not in there.
Yeah, we also have like the Great Khali, and Kane is going to be in there as well. And we'll see more of them as we get into our second episode as well, too. All right, so now let's see. Now we get another Floyd Mayweather hype video, and then we get Kofi Kingston versus James Curtis. As we've seen Curtis here before, he's no stranger to Kofi Kingston. He's no stranger to ECW. I'm still wondering if they were planning on doing something with James Curtis in the long run, Steve.
Yeah, I'm not really sure about that. But real quick, going back to that Mayweather vignette, I thought it was really well done, but it's just kind of weird because it's like they're like sending mixed signals about Mayweather. Like you're telling the story about him coming from such a rough background and overcoming the adversity, which I actually had no idea that he was in the '96 Olympics, which is kind of crazy to think. But then you're like flaunting he's flaunting like this this like being like a pompous asshole character when you seems like they're trying to make him the face of this feud with Big Show. It's just I don't know. It's just really weird. It's like I don't mind them kind of humanizing him and to put him on like a personal level to show like what he's been through. But it's just kind of weird that in that same package they show him as coming from humble beginnings, only then turn around and be basically like this narcissistic douchebag.
Yeah. So we'll see how Floyd fans out versus the Big Show here. So like I said, now we have Kofi Kingston versus James Curtis. Shoulder tackle by Curtis. Leg takedown by Kofi. Huge drop kick by Kofi. Knee to Kofi by Curtis. Leg sweep and a boom leg drop by Kofi. And then the Jamaican buzzsaw by Kofi for the win. For this matchup, I want a star and a quarter. Curtis got some offense in, but it's all Kofi right here.
Yeah, so these two fought back on February 5th. I gave that match a star, and I give this match a star. Again, pretty much just another showcase match for Kofi. Like you said, Curtis got a few shots in, but I know one thing I thought was interesting when Kofi does the boom boom before the leg drop. Like Curtis is on like his side, and then Kofi does the boom boom to the hard camera, and then turns his body around to hit the leg drop, which I thought was interesting. And then Curtis avoids the first buzzsaw with with flipping Kofi over him, but Kofi landed on his feet and then hit the buzzsaw, which I thought was a really nice sequence there. So again, just another win here to continue building up Kofi, who's the crowd slowly starting to get behind him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's only a matter of time before we see the next chapter of Kofi Kingston. It's got to be, it's weird now, like seeing him here and what he becomes and like what he's doing now in 2025.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We're backstage with CM Punk, Jesse, and Festus as Punk is waving like his hand right in front of Festus's face, and Jesse's like, "No, it's not time yet." Like he stays there until the bell rings, and Punk's like, "Oh, I had an uncle who did this, but it took him a while. Well, you had to get him a couple of a couple of beers, and he would turn into this." But Festus is doing this naturally.
Yeah, kind of funny little moment there with Punk and Festus, knowing what would come of them a year and a half later. And yeah, I love that Punk. He's like, oh yeah, my uncle used to be like this at Thanksgiving. It took 3 bottles of wine, but it, which I thought was again maybe a nice little inadvertent foreshadowing.
Yeah, to the straight edge side. Yeah, so they're gonna have a 6-man tag team matchup, and it's Punk, Jesse, and Festus versus John Morrison, The Miz, and Shelton Benjamin. Festus starts with Morrison, punches and chops by Festus, double team move to Morrison by Jesse and Festus, drop kick by Jesse. Punk does a crossbody to Miz and Morrison. Shelton stops Jesse. Festus tosses Shelton onto Miz and Morrison. Next snap to Miz, running knee to Miz. Shelton pulls Punk off, snap suplex to Punk, T-bone suplex to Punk, backbreaker to Punk by Morrison, enziguri by Punk, tag to Festus and Miz, clothesline and bicycle kick to Miz. Drop kick to Shelton. Festus gives Miz a flapjack for the win. For this matchup, I went 2.5. It was fun, and it's interesting that Festus gets the win instead of Punk.
Yeah, I went 2.25. This was a good little 6-man. Well, they did mention on commentary that Friday on SmackDown, Jesse and Festus were challenging Miz and Morrison for the tag titles. So it made sense. So I think it made sense for Festus to get the pin here. I actually was a little bit surprised that Punk was the face in peril. I thought that would have been Jesse, but I thought Miz and Morrison are still gaining their their chemistry down. Shelton's still looking pretty good. I did like the spot where like you said, Punk did the crossbody on Miz and Morrison on the floor, and then Jesse looked like he was going to do something, but Shelton cut him down with a clothesline, and then he goes after Festus, but then Festus just like throws him over the top on Miz and Morrison, which I thought was a really good bump there. Interesting, they do talk. I know they talk about Money in the Bank because we have 3 participants in the match: Punk, Morrison, and Benjamin. So a lot of back and forth on there, and then and then obviously, like I said, the hot tag to Festus, who then cleans house, and then kind of a shocking pin there. I thought I almost kind of did a double take when the 3 happened. I was like, wait a minute, it's like what? Because it almost felt like it came out of nowhere. Because like Shelton tries to slide in at one point to stop it. I didn't know if he was supposed to and missed his cue, or if that was just the finish. It just looked awkward. But yeah, good little 6-man here for the show, and the faces get the win to give Jesse and Festus some momentum to that tag title shot.
Mm-hmm. Then we have a Raw recap, and I'm wondering, is this the one where it was Triple H called the shot, and it was Randy Orton and John Cena versus the whole entire roster, right?
Yeah, he puts Triple H puts Cena and Orton in this handicap match, just pretty much talk about burying the roster when you have like, I know it's John Cena and Randy Orton, but still it's like, these 2 guys were able to kind of easily go through this elimination match, and still and it ended in no contest. But then of course, ultimately Triple H stood tall at the end.
Yeah, because King's like, oh, there is one superstar left on the Raw roster, and it's the Game. So he gets the last word as he puts the pedigree to both guys.
Yeah, that same show also had Flair and Vince in a street fight because Vince wanted to end Flair's career before he got to Mania, but that didn't happen.
Oh wow, yeah, this is a crazy time for Flair. Callback too to their Royal Rumble 2002 street fight. Mm-hmm. And then we have a full WrestleMania 24 card rundown. which is really good. Like this card was shaping up to be a very good card, and it was a great pay-per-view. And then Taz is in the ring with Colin Delaney. He asks Taz.
Yeah,
asks
I think
Colin,
24 as a whole is kind of
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, what were your thoughts on WrestleMania?
No, I was just saying that
24?
I was actually just I was just about to say that 24 is a
Yeah,
whole, I think definitely very underrated.
yeah, it is. Like it was a great card. That Belfast brawl between Finley and Finley and JBL too to kick it off. So now we have Taz. He's in the ring with Colin Delaney. He asks if Colin can pull off this upset victory here. Colin says yes. And then Chavo Guerrero comes out. So it's Chavo Guerrero versus Colin Delaney. If Colin wins, he gets a contract. Chavo goes to work on Colin, hip toss and drop kick to Chavo, back suplex to Colin. Colin misses a drop kick, three amigos, but then Colin runs out. Colin rolls out of the way of a frog splash, and then a gory bomb for the win by Chavo. For this matchup, I gave it a star. It was all right. I mean, you knew Chavo was gonna get the win here.
Yeah, I went star and a quarter. They do mention that on that Raw as well that Delaney had gotten destroyed by JBL, so he was already coming in at a disadvantage. But this is probably the best Delaney's looked since he's debuted. I mean, this is probably like I think the most offense he's ever gotten in at least a normal match outside of the Extreme Rules match from the week before. And he gave Chavo a little bit of a run there. When he when Chavo missed the frog splash, you thought maybe Delaney would steal it because it was a non-title match. But obviously, like you said, there was no way Chavo was going to lose going into Mania, even if it was non-title. So again, just kind of keeping the heat going there for Colin as he continues to fight for his contract.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so a good ECW here. Fun. That 6-man was really fun with Punk, Festus, and Jesse versus Miz, Shelton, and Morrison. So now we'll get into our next show here. It is ECW March 25th, 2008. We're live in Fayetteville, North Carolina. The last stop, Steve, before WrestleMania 24. And we start off with a 12-on-12, 24-man tag team match. This was weird because I couldn't write everybody's name or whose side everybody was on, but I did manage to get what was going on in the ring. All right, so you got to bear with me on this. I have, well, first off, I have Hardcore Holly and Cody Rhodes. They entered the ring with their theme, and then Kane came out as the last guy. Falls by Kendrick and Rhodes. Leg drop by Noble. Back suplex by Chuck Palumbo. Clothesline to Yang, Jimmy Wang Yang. Hurricanrana to Chuck. And a crossbody. Multiple guys fly to the outside. A DDT to Snitsky by Tommy Dreamer. Multiple brawls. An Alabama slam to Elijah Burke by Hardcore Holly. A splash to the Miz by Festus. Choke slam to Striker. Big boot to Kane by Snitsky. And a boot to Tommy Dreamer by Snitsky for the win. For this matchup, I gave it a star and a quarter. It was fun.
Yeah, I gave it a gentleman's 2. So I have up the history of WWE.com, and they have the full listing. So the face side was Kane, Dreamer, Cody, Holly, Kofi, Jesse Festus, Yang Moore, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Val Venus, and Jamie Noble. And then on the heel side was Great Khali, Miz, Palumbo, Matt Striker, Mark Henry, Snitsky, Kata Murdoch, Brian Kendrick, Deuce and Domino, and Burke. So So there's your guys, and of course they have this match because all those guys are going to be in the Battle Royal on WrestleMania. But yeah, just I mean, when you have this many guys, there's only so much you're going to be able to do with the short amount of time they had. I mean, giving them 9.5 minutes already was for TV was itself a blessing just because we got some and they just packed a lot of action in that time. I do feel kind of bad for Miz. Like his partner gets to be in the Money in the Bank match, and he's relegated to the pre-show. So kind of shows what they think of them as the team. Kind of funny though that it was Snitsky that got the pin on Dreamer, considering that it's they put all this focus. I thought maybe it would have been Henry that would have gotten the pin, because I mean, as we'll see, he's kind of like one of the favorites of the match to win. But eventually, just kind of a basic like I said, basic stuff here. I wonder if they've put Striker in there because they knew because they didn't have Big Daddy V anymore, so they just threw him in there to fill the spot, which I thought was kind of interesting. But yeah, again, just basic stuff with these guys, kind of building to that battle royal.
Yep. And then we get another Floyd Mayweather versus Big Show promo, and then we're backstage. It's Tommy Dreamer. He's backstage with Colin, and Chavo talks trash to Tommy. Tommy challenges Chavo tonight to a match, and Chavo accepts. So it's going to be Tommy Dreamer versus Chavo Guerrero in the main event. And now we have a Money in the Bank preview match. It's Carlito versus Shelton Benjamin. Carlito slaps Shelton. Shelton lands on his feet. Drop kick to Shelton. Carlito bounces Shelton off the top rope. DDT by Carlito on the hardest part of the ring, because it was a leaping elbow off the rope by Carlito. Electric chair by Shelton. Springboard dropkick by Carlito. Neckbreaker to Shelton. Enziguri by Shelton. Backbreaker to Carlito. A T-bone suplex by Shelton. Spinning neckbreaker to Shelton. Carlito counters a bulldog into a backbreaker. And then Shelton does what it's called. It's called a pay dirt off the top turnbuckle by Shelton for the win. So that move that Shelton has been doing, besides T-bone suplex, it's called the pay dirt, or like the dirt pay. I forget which one it is, but that's the move that he wins it with. For this matchup, I gave it 2.5. It was very, very good.
Yeah, I went 2.5 as well. I mean, when you got two good workers like this, you're going to get, that's your baseline right there. Appreciate I'm sure our buddy Logan Crosland will appreciate your reference here, the hardest part of the ring, of the apron. Interesting the fact that, because they were in North Carolina, that Shelton was actually getting some face cheers, because he's obviously from South Carolina, so he's kind of playing the face here, and Carlito kind of, because going into this, both were already heels, but again, Shelton kind of made it most of the match. And yeah, some good, again, back and forth. Shelton had a good comeback. I actually really like Breaker. I thought was a really good counter. And then, like you said, Shelton hit the pay dirt off the top rope, which he rarely. I don't think he's ever done that before. Which I thought it gave a lot of extra oomph to the finisher, and gave Shelton a really good win. So yeah, again, good stuff here between two solid mid card guys. And you figure that this was it is kind of funny that it was these two guys, and we don't, because conspicuous by his absence, no CM Punk, which is kind of funny. I knew he would be on SmackDown that week, but just kind of funny that he's on his show in a match against one of these other Money in the Bank participants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you knew what you're gonna get. Like, and Carlito too had a lot of great moves in this matchup here as well. Now we have a Triple H versus Cena versus Randy Orton promo, and then we get the full rundown of the WrestleMania 24 card again, and then we have a Hall of Fame induction. It's going to be Gordon Solie going into the 2008 Hall of Fame. Gordon Solie passed away in the year 2000. So we'll see how. And the Hall of Fame class that year was great too. I believe it was the Briscoes, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll just first real quick that Orton Cena Triple H package I thought was really well done. Really, because that's a very big match. Three, the top guys of this pit time frame going at it, and a triple threat was really highly anticipated. And then Gordon Solie, they announced him as the final inductee into the Hall of Fame that year. Because actually we didn't talk about it on the week previous. On the 18th, they had announced Eddie Graham was going to go in that year as well. Obviously making that class very Florida heavy, because with Eddie, Solie, like I said, the Briscoes, and then also in the class was who else was Mae Young, Rocky Johnson, Peter Maivia, because they announced The Rock was going to be there to induct them.
Yeah, and Ric Flair too.
Yeah, the headliner was Ric Flair, because they were making a big note about how Flair was the first active competitor to be inducted into the Hall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so another great class here in 2008. Alrighty. Then we have then if you thought that where Burke was going was strange too, like he's falling down the card. This next tag team matchup was a little weird for who gets the pin here as well. It's Stevie Richards and Kelly Kelly versus Layla and Mike Knox. Flying clothesline by Kelly. Knox trips Kelly. Hair throw by Layla. Layla misses a leg drop. Tag to Stevie and Knox. Spear by Kelly to Layla. A corkscrew neck breaker by Knox for the win. For this matchup, I gave it a 1.25. It's probably less than that, but why are we still giving Knox wins here? I thought we were giving Stevie the Comeback Kid award here.
Yeah, I went a star as well. So yeah, you got that, plus the never-ending Kelly Layla feud rolls on with another week and another mixed tag. But again, they kept it basic there. But yeah, it's just, again, it's like we went through all that trouble to give Stevie, the big thing about his coming back from his injuries and everything, and now all of a sudden he's again jobbing here to Knox, who again just seems just completely aimless. Like, what are we doing with and you talk about I know why they only had 24 guys in the Battle Royal, because WrestleMania 24, but how much of a loser do you have to feel like, if you're Mike Knox and Stevie Richards, knowing that you didn't make the cut to make it to that Battle Royal?
Exactly.
Yeah, and not just them. I mean, there's a bunch of other guys on the roster that you can say the same thing, but it's just like, this is for the. I know why they made it, added as many people as they did, but I mean, this is for an ECW title shot. Don't you at least think the majority of the guys in that Battle Royal should be ECW guys? So,
yeah. What are you doing? Like, where are you going with Knox? Like, is he going to come back to ECW? Are we going to give him a ECW title run? Like, where are you going with him?
Yeah, it's just so, like, if you're not going to use, like, yeah, I don't know what they're. He's just he's just a guy. He's another guy who was like, he came in with some decent promise, and it's just been constant start stop, and it's just like the guy just can't get any momentum.
No. And again, Joey Styles is bringing up the ex-boyfriend storyline. It's like, dude, really? We're going back there, bro? Come on.
Well, I feel like they got to mention that every time. And then, like I said, Kelly and Layla, they're never any feud. So, are we ever going to get some sort of finish with them at some point?
I think this was because they didn't know what they were doing with Victoria, and like they could have had Victoria on ECW more. Again, like we saw her with Kenny Dykstra, and again, there's no divas on ECW except for Kelly and Layla. So it's like, well, what do we do? And again, the fallout of Lena Yada not being ready to go into the ring yet as well. So yeah, I mean, just like a mishmash with Kelly and Layla here. Well, now we have our main event. It's Chavo Guerrero versus Tommy Dreamer. All the Battle Royal competitors are at ringside here when the match starts. Punches by Dreamer. Chavo goes to the outside, and then he gets put back into the ring by the Lumberjacks. So it's not even like a real Lumberjack match, but they just like pull one off on Chavo. Like, oh, we're going to put you back into the ring. Bulldogs to Chavo, a tree of woe by Tommy, neckbreaker to Chavo, but then Chavo gets a frog splash for the win. For this matchup, I gave it a 1.5. It was fine. I mean, again, Chavo feeling mighty confident going into WrestleMania 24 again. He gets the win versus Tommy Dreamer this time.
Yeah, I gave it a 1.25. It was, again, just kind of basic stuff. Of all the people to work double duty, it would be Dreamer. And yeah, having all the other guys around the ring, like you said, kind of almost an unofficial lumberjack match. But again, it's pretty basic. Tommy gets a few shots in, but then Chavo ends up winning, but clean with the frog splash. But then, of course, he gets beat up at the end by all the guys, and then a big brawl breaks out. So again, kind of that last little salvo there for going into WrestleMania to hype this battle royal.
Yeah, like you said, the competitors all get in the ring and they start to brawl. But you know what the funniest part was? That Chavo looks around him and then everybody ends up just being on Chavo first before he escapes. So at least everybody got their shot at him. It's like, oh, let's get Chavo.
Well, that's the guy they all want.
Yeah. Well, that's going to do it from us here tonight covering ECW. But Steve, do you have anything that you want to direct the listeners to?
So you can usually find me over on the PTB Pop Experience. I have a couple of shows over there. Pop Goes to Classics, Making Mount Rushmore, and the Video Jukebox Song of the Day. I can also be found occasionally over on the North-South Connection. In fact, was on the most recent episode of Cronoso, where we were discussing a couple of TV episodes plus the Survivor Series Showdown, going into Survivor Series, the 1990 Survivor Series, and I took a look at the Tio Santana Sergeant Slaughter match from that show. So be sure to listen to that, and also be sure if you've not had done so yet, please subscribe to all of our YouTube channels. All the pods have their own YouTube channel, and we would definitely appreciate the support. I know North South just reached over 1,000 subscribers, so we would like to try to see if we can get our other YouTube channels to get over 1,000 subscribers as well.
Yeah, sorry, Steve. I didn't mean to cut it short. We should have just talked about the WrestleMania card. It's going to be good, and we'll see if Chavo Guerrero can retain against the winner of the Battle Royal too. Like odds are like it was either going to be like Kane or Mark Henry. Those are like my picks, Steve.
Yeah, I think going in, you knew it was probably going to be, like you said, one of the like the big guys, since they've been getting a lot of the momentum, and it was just going to be a matter of if whoever did win was going to be the one to eventually dethrone Chavo.
Yeah, I also could have thought that they could have given it to Tommy. Like Tommy could have pulled off the victory and got his WrestleMania moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll see who gets who wins the Battle Royal and who gets the ECW title shot, and if Chavo Guerrero can retain. As for me, you can mostly find me on the Place to Be Nation wrestling feed. I have this show and another show called Nation Invasion, where I look back at the 2001 WCW and ECW invasion, or the Alliance versus WWF storyline. Me and Jeremy Nichols are finishing off the Road to Survivor series. We just covered the Raw from October 29th and on SmackDown November 1st, where Kurt Angle turns on the WWF and joins the Alliance. So he's now with Stone Cold Steve Austin. The Rock and Jericho's feud is coming to a boiling point, even though they're on the same team. And we see the street fight between Shane McMahon and Vince, a rematch from WrestleMania 17 as well. That and much more. Our next episode will be a watch along of Rebellion 2001. And on the Place to Be Nation Pop feed, I have a podcast called Pop Goes Degrassi, where me and John Kesalika, we cover Degrassi Next Generation. We are on season 2, and we just did episode 7 and 8 entitled Shout, where Paige goes to a party and meets a boy named Dean, but will there be dramatic turning consequences for both of them? That's going to do it from us here tonight on Extreme Resurrection. He's Steve Riddle. I'm James Gruenberg, and we will see you next time.